And welcome to Flexible Games, where we are playing FortressCraft Evolved. And we're pretty much getting attacked on a regular interval. With this pulling power and with some of our turrets defending us, as well as the new miners we put on, pretty much pulling enough power to constantly be over 100%. Now, if I were to kick on the research facility, that base threat would go up significantly. Currently, my highest is 443%, and that's with the researcher going, but none of this stuff going. So now if I were to kick research on, I'd probably hit 500-600%, which higher the percent, obviously, the tougher the attacks. Let's see. Other advancements haven't really changed too much up here on the surface. Everything is pretty much set. The smelter has been going strong. I've been smelting bars. I've got a good amount of the base 2 getting it. I just finished smelting a bunch of iron, and now it's time for some lithium. Get some lithium going, and that way I can move on to these other ones. Now, speaking of the other ones, let's go down here. Let's see if I can do this. Sit down here. Oh, stop doing that. Oh, man. I forgot about the cold caverns. Darn it. Okay. Forgot there's nowhere to grapple down in the cold caverns. Now is quite the fall. I really hate when it tries to zip you back up. Okay, let's go down here. Stop off at the cold caverns. Where's that laser at? There it is. So if this is that wall, that should mean that the laser is which corner? Yeah, I think it's this corner. So let's put a protection in here like that. That should prevent that from happening again. I hope. I always hope. That's a bad spot for that. Let's move it down here. Not sure why. Oh yeah, because of camel bots, that's right. This down. That was a close one too. So our nickel had run out, and I moved it over last episode. I prepared gold to be moved over. So I've got that ready to go. I wasn't sure how long this was going to last. It looks like it lasted another cycle. So I can grab all the gold out of there. Not sure how much is left. And titanium ran out. Titanium was sitting right here, and it ran out. Well, in kind of snooping around for sort of a temporary titanium source, if we go down to where our nickel was, there's some more tin, I believe. No, that's gold. Yeah, not a whole lot of gold. Oh, and this, I just set this up. There's nothing on them. These are Minox. And remember when I said that stuff spawns on your conveyor belts when you go deep enough that sucks the ore off? That's what these things do. These suck the ore off of your conveyor belts. And it doesn't even have to be ore. It could be rock. It could be, anything. And they feed a nearby hive. So one of those resin, hardened resin spheres, it actually feeds that system, which makes it grow. And, the only way to get rid of hardened resins is with explosives. So, it can grow big enough where it starts creeping in on your infrastructure. It could cut off beams. It could, ruin your conveyor belts. And so, you got to be careful with where you put turrets, where you put conveyors, and that kind of stuff. So I came over here. Here's the big nickel that we were mining. Well, right next to it, literally, like, attached to it, is titanium. So this titanium vein is 1.3 million for this titanium, which is awesome. And this nickel, 738,000. So I kind of went off this direction. There's a little bit more nickel, quite a bit more titanium. Here's some more nickel. Here's some gold. 540,000. And I thought, wow, I wonder how many other veins are down here. So I started looking, and I found this. Not that we need it. Copper. 8 million copper. Our biggest ore vein thus far in the game, in this playthrough. 8 million copper. One way to find these ore veins, at least, an easier way to find them. If you are just looking for any ore vein, or even if you're looking for a specific one, if you noticed, after I researched and found all of the ores, as well as upgraded my power in my suit, I had this pink-colored ore. You can see it on the bottom right, pink-colored ore. This uses a large amount of power, like a large amount of power. But it will ping for ores and then colorize them depending on what kind they are. And it's always consistent, so the colors never shift. So if we do this, watch my power in the top left. So you can see the ores that are around, and you can kind of gauge their size. There's a huge purple one up there, which would be coal. I kind of wrote some of them down. Copper is actually greenish, a green color. And then blue, you have this blue here, but there's a different kind of blue, a different shade that is actually tin. But you can see that takes about 350 power just to initiate that. I want to say that is more... I'm not sure if that is more nickel or if that's something else. But yeah, there's a very big vein of something just that direction. There's also something over there. Not sure, kind of hard to tell what the colors are. But yeah, you can tell where the big veins are, and it's pretty easy to find. That's how I found that this gold was right here. Is I was like, oh, there's some gold. yellow. It's a pretty obvious color. So let me grab the ores that are over here. I forgot to do that. I really need to smelt a lot of nickel and titanium. So first, grab the nickel that's in there, and then grab what's there and what's left. Grab that. All right. Kind of restocking with all my goodies here. Get a good supply to take up to the surface. So, you know, if you're looking for ores, you can just like pick a direction that you haven't really looked in and just do a colored ping. And if anything shows up, you know you're close. You know you've got something. Oh, you little... So this gold over here is that big gold vein that we found previously, 1.1 million. So this is a good level to actually build some smelting on. I'm trying to keep my base spread out a bit so I'm not cramping my you know, the base. You know, you don't want to get it too complicated just because of frame rate and loading and updates and all that kind of stuff. So you got to be careful with that. So I'm going to build a smelting area down here. I've got so many ores. But before I can do that, I mean, I could build the smelters now, right now, certainly. The problem is power. I don't have enough power coming down here to be even close to supporting multiple smelters. But with all this ore so close by, I mean, I could really just go in another direction. You know, like just keep digging a tunnel and go, you know, 40 blocks in a direction and do another ping, and I would probably find other veins of really good ore that I could bring into the smelting operation. And then once the ore is mined and smelted, then you have the option of a fast transit way up to the surface. So that way you're not... Oh, there's so many camel bots around here. That way you're not transmitting, you know, 4 ores up and then smelting it down. You're actually transmitting the bar itself, which is way more efficient to do it that way. You're quartering the number of things you're having to transmit. And then you can do all your sorting and all that kind of stuff up on the surface once the bars get up there. So yeah, this gold has got to be close. No, still gonna get almost 4,000 out of that. This is about 1,000 bars. I'll get about 1,000 bars out of that deposit before it depletes, which is still pretty good. I mean, 1,000 bars. I mean, I honestly don't know how many of those resources that we're gonna need with those just millions of copper that we've got down there. I mean, I really don't know how much copper in the end we're gonna need, but it's a lot of copper. We got this tin to clean up. We got a bunch of resources down there. We've got that huge tin vein down there. So I could create a smelting operation on this level for kind of our tier 1 ores. And, it's a little easier to manage because we're closer to the surface. I've got tin there. I've got a huge tin vein right down this corridor. I have multiple copper sources. I've got a huge copper source right down there. And then once the smelter's done with that, it's just a quick trip up to the surface to be sorted and stored. So, in previous games, in my previous build, I really smelted almost everything on the surface. And I never piped up anything from deeper. I did have a deeper smelting operation for nickel and titanium and gold, and I never moved everything up. I always went down and grabbed multiple, I had 10 hoppers on titanium, just so I could go down and grab 1,000 of it at a time. And, by the end, I had so many resources that I could have really afforded a better system. So in this playthrough, I want to distribute my smelting and, bring up the ingots, and then be able to maybe manage some auto crafting, maybe do something like that with the ingots on the surface. But I don't necessarily want, 7 pipes coming up here for every resource. I mean, that would be seven tubes. I would use tubes. 7 tubes, and each tube is quite a few resources. A lot of titanium, some nickel, a lot of tin. And we're talking literally thousands of them. So thousands of those resources just to move more resources to the surface. I mean, that's kind of crazy. And the other thing I wanted to do was start mining crystal. And I happen to have 4 stingers that I can make this pristine, this cutter head. So I'm going to craft it. The one thing we need it for is, I don't know what this unknown material is, but is that the cutter head that I just made? I don't know. Why does that have an unknown material? I don't have any scans. Oh well. So the pristine cutter head, or the organic cutter head, which I'm assuming is, yep, right there. It just didn't update, is all. Because I can't mine the crystal with just the regular drill, I need to use a stronger cutting head. And since I don't have access to the steel one yet, I'm going to use the organic. That will get me some crystal, at least a little bit. I'm not sure. I mean, this uses so much power. It'll give me some crystal, enough where I can start sort of taking care of those hives with the crystal that I get. And I will eventually be able to build and craft cutter heads that are way better. But for now, that'll do. Oh, yes. There we go. All right, well, that'll do it for this episode. It was kind of a planning and showing off the new system here. once we have enough titanium and nickel, we will really start moving some power and getting our mine shaft, getting everything really ready to ramp up production. So stay tuned for that. I thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.